Rampant Scotland annihilate French Grand Slam dreams. Scotland, 1950. Tries: Graham 2, Stein 2, Showman White, Jordan Cons, Russell 6 Penn, Russell. France, 1440. Tries: Bielbayri, Atasog, Dupont, Ramos 2, Jego Cons, Ramos 5. Rampant Scotland annihilated French Grand Slam dreams with a stunning 7-try victory at Mayfield that blew the Six Nations Championship wide open. In a staggering contest of 13 tries and 90 points, Gregor Townsend's men were astonishing in every way until a madcap endgame that saw France run in a battery of tries. The Scots landed 7 scores and a half-century of points against the previously imperious, but now seriously beleaguered French. Darcy Graham put them ahead early. Louis Bielbayri, scoring in his 9th consecutive Six Nations match, and Theo Atasog hit back in rapid order to seemingly put France in control.
But no.
Stein and Pierre Scoman scored before the half was out. Then Ben White darted over early in the new half, followed quickly by Stein and Graham, each for their second of the match. Tom Jordan added a 7th as France reeled, 47-14 after just over an hour, and then 50-14 when Finn Russell banged over a conversion. France came back with a barrage of tries late on, and claimed what could prove a decisive bonus point, but it was too little, too late for this game. This was a glorious, bewilderingly brilliant day for these Scotland players. Dublin awaits on the final day. The French still have it in their hands. A bonus point win over England in Paris will retain the title. But anything less opens the door for the Scots and, potentially, even the Irish. French beaten at their own game. No team had managed to lay a glove on France in their previous 3 games. They never trailed at any point. But it was different here. Oh, so different. In a game of frenetic brilliance, everything we had hoped for, Scotland made the kind of start that had almost become the exclusive preserve of the French, scoring after just 5 minutes. It all started with a Thomas Ramos fumble. Not many of those from France this season. Scotland seized on it, won a free kick at the scrum, and blasted away. Russell dropped it backwards, but that only seemed to confuse the French. When the fly half regathered, he sent Graham away. Mayfield rocked. Russell's conversion made it 7-0, and the dream start of Townsend's dreams had materialized. His team were playing at a tempo that France were struggling with. The pace to the game was wild, as was France's reply. They scored twice in 4 minutes, a double whammy that put them in front. First, when carrying ball away from his own line, Sione Tuipilota got turned over by none other than Antoine Dupont. France went wide, Matthew Jalibert finding Bielbayri for another try for the record books. Bielbayri went from scorer to provider soon after when grubbering in behind for Theo Atasog to pounce, 14-7 France. A classic, already. What could Scotland find? A lot. They hardly blinked at France's comeback, hitting them with a second try of their own just before the half-hour. What a clever score it was. Off a line-out, George Turner got ball in hands, switched it Stein belting in an angle for the left corner. The handling and the timing was perfection. Stein sped past Dupont to score. The intensity and quality of the home team was relentless. If France didn't know they were in a mighty battle by now, and their Grand Slam in mortal jeopardy, then they knew it minutes later, when the rampant hosts did them again. Patience and power did the job. Scotland banged away in the French 22, never panicking, always in control. They waited and waited, and then Showman fired himself over. The ruthlessness was quite something. A ferocious turning of the screw against a shell-shocked team. Russell's conversion was good, and Scotland led 19-14. Even better news. Jalibert was sent to the bin for persistent French infringement. Finest Scotland performance in Six Nations history. What came next was otherworldly, the finest Scotland performance in Six Nations history. They tore France away with their pace and intelligence. And, yes, their physicality and fitness, too. Townsend freshened things up just before halftime when bringing on Xander Fagerson for Darcy Ray, who had put in a terrific shift. Just after the break, Scotland screamed over for their bonus point try. Stunning. White's opportunism at the side of the ruck was what did it. The scrum half too quick, too sharp, too lethal for the French cover. With the extras, Scotland were ahead by 10. They were only getting started. 8 minutes later, Stein got his second, Scotland out-Francing France with their desire to play at breakneck speed. They created space out wide, and Stein galloped away from Yoram Moefana to strike from 45 m. Mayfield wiped its eyes in disbelief. France wiped tears. 9 minutes later, the astonishing flow of one-way traffic carried on when Scotland passed up an easy 3 close to the posts and went for touch instead. They nailed it like they nailed everything else. The ball came out to Blair Kinghorn, who drew French defenders to him before slipping a pass to Graham, who slalomed over. The conversion made it 40-14. And soon when Lenny Nucci got France's second yellow, it was 47-14. The mind boggled at the systematic annihilation Scotland were delivering. Off a scrum, the brilliant leader that is Tuipoloda drove it up and found Jordan, who scored at the posts. 7 tries and a landslide score. All in 63 minutes. Dupont ran in for a consolation score that the vast ranks of French supporters could scarcely cheer. Ramos added another for a bonus point, and Oscar Jego landed one more while Josh Bayless was in the bin. Mere crumbs. They might still win the title next weekend, but their slam has gone, ripped from them by an extraordinary powerhouse performance from the title-chasing Scots. To Dublin on the final day, then, with more momentum than Scotland have ever had in the history of this championship. Rampant Scotland annihilate French Grand Slam dreams. The evening air at Mayfield Stadium crackled with anticipation. Under the pale Scottish sky, thousands of voices blended into a thunderous roar as the men in dark blue prepared to face the seemingly unstoppable force of France's national rugby union team. France had marched through the championship with ruthless precision, standing on the brink of a coveted Grand Slam in the legendary Six Nations Championship. Only one obstacle remained, a defiant and inspired Scotland national rugby union team. Few outside Scotland believed the hosts could stop the French juggernaut. France had been dazzling all tournament, fast, clinical, and confident. But rugby is a sport built on passion, pride, and moments of defiance. And on this night in Edinburgh, Scotland played as if history itself was pushing them forward. From the opening whistle, Scotland were electric. Their forwards charged like a storm crashing onto rocky shores, smashing into French defenders with relentless intensity. The crowd sensed something special immediately. Every tackle was greeted with a roar, every turnover with a surge of hope. The first breakthrough came suddenly. A clever interception near midfield sparked chaos in the French defensive line. Scotland's winger burst down the touchline, the turf flying beneath his boots. As he dove across the try-line, the stadium erupted. The scoreboard blinked, and Scotland had drawn first blood. France, stunned but dangerous, tried to